All right. Well, good afternoon, everybody. This is Andrew with Nashville Severe Weather. We're watching some storms come through Williamson County and moving up toward Davidson County. They are currently non-severe. These are storms that we've been watching here from really for the past couple of hours as they've been coming out of West Tennessee along an outflow boundary that has been pushing up our way that's sort of feeding these storms. The most intense storms right now are right in the western parts of Brentwood. In fact, here's a view from Granny White and Bell Reeve Drive. So the storm is really coming through there right now, and it's there, and could be a little bit of hail with this storm. Might have had some hail, maybe more certainly back to the west of it. That core seems to have come down just a little bit, but maybe some hail right there in the western parts of Brentwood. And we're watching those cameras as this storm pushes on into town. And then also back to the west around Cheatham County, it looks like there's a storm back there that radar is indicating that there could be some hail a part of that storm. And it looks like now, watching over here in Bell Reeve, looks like the worst part of the storm has now gotten there. So we're watching this off to the side, and we'll keep this up actually for just a minute. Could be very well some hail as a part of that cell right there that's coming down. A little hard to tell whether that's rain or if it's hail, but I would bet there's probably a little bit at least small hail in there, right there in the western parts of Brentwood, and certainly the wind's blowing too. So I'm watching radar off to the side over here. We've got David and we've got Will over here as well, and we're all three of us. We've been hanging out here watching this as it's been coming through. So those of you back down around the western and southwestern parts of Williamson County have seen this storm come through already, and especially around Spring Hill and down through Columbia or northwest of Columbia and Murray County. So it's been a storm that we've been watching come up from the southwest, and they come up and then they go down for a while, and then it'll kind of spark new storms from there. So, boy, that's an unfortunate thing. That guy out jogging, he just got surprised. So, I bet he's heading home. Pretty gnarly winds there too, guys. I would say that's that looks like 40, 45 mile an hour winds, and so it's blowing pretty good there in Brentwood. Let's go back to radar here and see where this storm is. So again, this is a non-severe storm, and that's going to be up here west of Brentwood and Bell Reeve area and Grassland, Holly Tree Farms. Here's downtown Brentwood here, Otter Creek, Radnor Lake, Forest Hills, Oak Hill, up that way. So the storms are moving not quite due east, but pretty well east. And then this storm, actually, let's look at another storm we were watching down towards Spring Hill. It's come way down. So it seems like these storms come up and then they collapse. And when they do, they could certainly have some strong winds and maybe some hail in there for sure. So what do you think, guys? David, what's kind of the setup today? Are we looking at widespread severe weather, or are we looking at just kind of these little cells coming through?
No, this is it. The big one right now is over at Riverwalk. It's just now coming into Riverwalk. This thing is got a really nice core, kind of like the storms that have been to the south of it. See that little purple area there, y'all? It's got probably some small hail stuck up in there that looks like it would fall right on I-40 just before the Bellevue exit. So if you live up in Riverwalk, looks like a hailer's coming in, and if you see any, let Will know by tweeting your location and the size of the hail via T-Spotter, so we can get that to the Weather Service. In fact, the new scan just came in. Yeah, that looks like a pretty big one. And in fact, Andrew, some of that, if you probe that area, that's a 70 dBz reflectivity core. That is a lot of water. So I would not want to be on I-40 right there. Was that the McCrory Lane exit?
It is, yeah.
That is going to be rough times. So, but usually these storms fall apart, and it's because they've got plenty of cape, but they're just using it all up and then falling back down, and then new ones will pop up. So, Andrew, if you scroll over to Oak Hill, over by Belle Meade, and even into downtown, I would expect those cells to start to mature as well as we go through the next 20 minutes and get into downtown. So it's kind of like a roller coaster. You'll see some hail, and then the storm will drop off, and then one will form out ahead of it, and then it can get suspicious of hail. But there's not a tornado threat here. The shear is not sufficient for any rotating storms that would cause low-level rotation or tornado. That risk is well off to our east. But as far as the rest of the day, temps aloft are really cold, which is aiding in this hail formation. But it looks like once this bad batch of storms comes through, that will be it for the super bad stuff. And then we should see some off and on rain later this afternoon and tonight. So I think, isn't there a Willie Nelson concert tonight? I think there is. So if you're wet, you probably won't care. But it shouldn't
Willie
storm it
Nelson
out.
at First Bank Amphitheater tonight outside.
Yeah.
And so the forecast we gave for that was soggy with probably some drizzle hanging around. And David, you mentioned earlier reports of hail. So hail reports in Boone Trace, which is about as far west as you can go before getting to, say, White Bluff in southwestern Davidson County. And also hail report over off of Murray Lane and Dahlia, so closer into the Brentwood area as that storm's moving northeast.
And that Brentwood storm is spiking again, Andrew.
Yeah, for sure. And it looks like it's there's even another storm forming sort of out ahead of that one over on the east side of Brentwood as well. That's got a hail core with it that's getting going. So I know at my place, as pretty much everybody, man, the wind is just ripping out there ahead of these things. And that outflow boundary is sort of helping create these storms. And then once it moves out from under the storms, it kind of cuts off the support for them. And so we think that's kind of the setup we have here, is that the storms will fire, drop some hail, some heavy wind, and then as they come down, it could be pretty windy, but then they sort of go away. Just like this one down here. This one down here in Spring Hill was quite something earlier, and it sort of has fallen apart as it's pushed east, but then look out ahead of it over toward Murfreesboro and Rockvale, there's another one. So that's kind of what we're dealing with here. We expect these to die off, but then more be born off out ahead of it. And that's kind of what we're seeing. But the strongest one of the day, or strongest one right now, is out here around Riverwalk, David, as you were saying, and could be putting down some hail. Let's check the, still showing possibly some, still showing some maybe 1 inch hail up there, possibly. At least radar is indicating that's up in the storm, but definitely blowing pretty hard. Let's get those colors changed back there. There we go.
Yeah, there's a report. Somebody's at Riverwalk saying the hail is, quote, intense.
Yeah, I bet it is.
Which last time I was in a hailstorm, it felt intense. And then we just got another report. Yeah, it's definitely hail. From Brian Frazier. Do you see that, Will?
I do, and I'm actually going to bring up a video here from our reports. That does indeed look like a whole lot of hail blowing around in this video.
It's hard to tell how big it is.
Yeah, it is.
Somebody in our chat here posted peace.
I'm not suggesting you go out and look. Yeah.
I'll drop a link to that in chat there for you, Andrew. But I see a lot of hail kind of blowing around, and more of those reports coming in.
So again, we got currently non-severe storms. These have not reached a threshold. I know hail is pretty crazy, pretty gnarly when it's coming down. The winds are pretty gnarly out there, but currently we have not seen anything that reaches severe thresholds, and that would be that would be winds up to 58 to 60 miles per hour. That would be 1 inch diameter hail, which would be quarter size hail, basically, if you're just looking at it. But we haven't seen that. So you could get a whole bunch. You could get pea size hail that completely covers the ground, and it's loud and it's messy. It's all over the place, but it's not severe. So that's what we look for when we're looking for the severe thresholds, and we just haven't seen that yet. But that doesn't mean that we won't see that. In fact, another storm that, like we were saying, it just was kind of born there in East Brentwood, is pinging some pretty large hail aloft. So this is another storm that's been born It's got a pretty tall core with it. It could drop some hail, and then my guess is probably these behind it will start to fall apart. And that's just kind of the trend that we've seen on today. So Antioch again under the gun as you were yesterday. I mean, just look at this camera, guys. This is Moores Lane and I-65. The wind is just it's ripping out there pretty good. So that's one of the City of Brentwood cameras at Moores Lane I-65. They're looking northbound toward Brentwood. And let's see, we got some other cameras here. Let me pull something else up here.
Yeah, I'm getting 40, near 50 mile an hour winds in that Brentwood, kind of up towards the zoo.
Yeah,
but I don't think the OHX radar. Well, I'm sorry. I think the OHX radar has the best look. The TBNA look is running a little bit too much perpendicular to those.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, they would need to be at about 10 mile an hour stronger for the Weather Service to need to warn them.
Right.
But yeah.
But still,
I'm sorry, Will?
Still, you can see 30s around the zoo. You can see 30s around 12th South. The kind of north of 440 Belmont, Woodmont area, having a good little slug of wind come through there as well.
Yeah, we just got a report actually from Brad Moore over on Twitter getting some hail at Old Hickory and Nolensville that looks, I don't know, penny nickel size, something like that. So that's this right here. This is that new storm, guys, and that brand new one. So this is exactly what's happening. This one around Brentwood is starting to die off, and then this one out ahead of it is born. And so Antioch, expect hail. Nashville Golf Club, Lakewood Village, all the way over to Percy Priest Lake. Laverne, Cane Ridge, this is a hailer here. And anytime you see these purples here in an atmosphere like we have today, you can pretty well guess that there's probably some hail falling in, excuse me, guys, in those cores, which is this purple here is a real heavy core. The radar's picking up where that ice is falling through the sky. David, what are we looking at as far as a little bit later today? Are we expecting another round, or is this kind of going to eat up some of the storm food?
Well, you sound like a sports reporter who asked a question that answered itself. So how excited are you about winning the Super Bowl? Oh, I'm really excited.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so
it was actually so
exactly
I could get a drink of coffee here.
Well, you can drink coffee. You don't need my permission. Yeah, I'm with you. I think there was about 1,500 joules per kilogram of surface-based CAPE, which is NERD of saying there was a lot of storm fuel. But these storms that we're getting now are consuming all of the fuel. So any other cars that come by later today will run out of gas. So it looks like we'll get some off and on rain showers. I will say they're probably going to be pretty cold rain showers. All right, here comes a severe thunderstorm warning.
Yeah, we got a severe thunderstorm warning. Yeah, this just came out. Really not a surprise. We got these hailers and some pretty gusty wind here. So new severe thunderstorm warning that expires in about 35 minutes. This is for Davidson and then the far northern sides of Williamson County. And let me turn my weather radio off here. It's getting noisy. This is going to be for 60 mile per hour wind gusts and 1 inch hail. So this is sort of a baseline severe thunderstorm warning. But we were kind of talking about the thresholds a minute ago, and this is, we're getting to those thresholds as far as the hail sizes and the winds. So this does include a few different storm cells. So it includes the storm cell that's out in Bellevue that came through Riverwalk that dropped that hail a minute ago. It includes down Old Hickory Boulevard through West Brentwood, includes all of Brentwood really up to Oak Hill, and then it includes this storm over here near Percy Priest and Antioch that kind of got kicked off a second ago and is dropping hail that we're getting quite a few reports on right now. So it includes really all of the bigger storms that we have going on. So downtown Nashville, you're included in this storm all the way up to the zoo, up toward Oak Hill, Donelson, over toward B&A, Long Hunter State Park. If you're out on the lake or you know anybody out on the lake, they need to get off the lake now. If you know of anybody over on Percy Priest Lake that's out fishing or whatever on the boat or whatever they're doing, you need to text them, call them, tell them to get off the lake. It's going to be pretty nasty out there. Donelson, it includes you, Inglewood, all the way up toward Madison. But this doesn't include areas like Joelton and Goodlettsville. You guys are in good shape for a while. So Joelton, Goodlettsville, Fontenelle, you guys are in pretty good shape for now. And then all the way back down to the southwest, down toward Fairview, Kingfield, Boston, Franklin, Spring Hill. Y'all have already had your weather come through, and this does not include you. So this is off to your north. Well, off to your north. So again, the warning, severe thunderstorm warning here for 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts and quarter-size hail. And that's going to be until, let's see, this thing expires at 2:30. So we have about another 32 minutes on this one. And these storms are moving to the northeast.
And moving slowly to the
I'm sorry?
Moving slowly to the northeast, right?
Yeah, they're not moving real fast. But that said, the individual storm cells aren't moving fast. But here's what's moving fast is there's a gust front under here. There's an outflow boundary that's blowing pretty quickly. And what it's doing is it comes through, and then it's launching storms out ahead of the storms that you currently see on radar.
Yeah, it's already doing it right now in East Nashville.
Exactly. So yeah, the storms are moving slow once they're launched, but there's a wind underneath here that's launching these storms, like you see here in Inglewood. I bet in the next scan or two, the new scan's coming around, I bet we see higher reflectivities as these storms get born out ahead of these current storms that we see down to the south. So there's one about to exit over into Wilson County, and there we go. You see it's even stronger there around Inglewood and Donelson. All right, so we would expect this one here to get stronger around Opryland and Inglewood and Donelson over the next few minutes. All right, so but the strongest storm on radar now is clearly down here around Antioch, and it's just east of the Nolensville Old Hickory Boulevard intersection and crossing I-24. It looks like where the strongest storm is right now, and that's where that purple is. I'm going to go look at a product over here, and we see a couple of areas here where there might be some hail mixed in, for sure. Mentioning the velocities, it looks like some of the stronger velocities might be up here around East Nashville, B&A, and that's right where those storms are launching. So that's what I would expect with that.
You guy in the chat said, "What about South Carolina?"
Don't you have something to say about Clemson?
I do. I'm a Clemson Tiger, so yeah, go Tigers. But if you've never joined us before, Nashville Severe Weather only covers Davidson and Williamson counties in Middle Tennessee. We don't cover any of the neighboring counties, much less any of the neighboring states. But thanks for being here and watching us.
I know that you don't, Will, but I'm special.
I had somebody.
I'm not asking you to cover it for everybody. I'm just asking you to cover it for me.
All right. So these storms that are launched right now are probably going to start weakening, guys. This one around Bellevue, Oak Hill, Brentwood, and even the one around Antioch eventually. And I expect to see stronger storms get going off around Inglewood, Donelson, over toward Percy Priest Lake. I expect maybe the stronger storms to shift up here with time. Is probably my guess as far as that's kind of what's been going on here with these storms. But really, this one here around Antioch really has some teeth to it.
We've got pretty close to quarter hail or big nickel hail from Tusculum right now. Lots and lots of hail reports coming in.
Yeah, that was probably that storm that is now over in Antioch.
Yep.
That's my guess.
That's exactly right.
I'm more concerned about the avalanche.
Ha ha ha. I yeah,
Come on,
seeing
man.
lots of hail come through.
By the way, you
Um,
see that one going up North Nashville?
yeah, so just northwest of town, Haynes Bottom, north of Metro Center.
Yeah.
Fully expect, Andrew, like you said earlier, the gust front to interact with that pocket of moisture and turn it into a thunderstorm here pretty quick.
Yep, I think so. So wherever you see these little, in fact, let me go over to a different radar product here, and what we're going to do is we're going to go up in the atmosphere and see. Yeah, you see how? All right, now this up here is around 11,000 feet, and you see how there's high reflectivities up here. There's a lot of water up here. All that has to come down. So it's not down here at the surface yet, or at about 700 feet. But this will light up here in just a little bit. As we go up in the atmosphere, we can see it's getting its act together. So that's what we expect to happen.
These are a lot like summertime thunderstorms.
They really are, yeah.
Or they're water loaded aloft, and you don't see them on the radar until they're, they've already ruined your shoes. That's exactly what these are doing. I'm gonna pull.
They are. And one of the difficult things about that is, right, we don't know where the next one is going to pop off unless we spend all our time looking at upper level moisture instead of what's reaching the ground.
Yeah, that's true. So if you're just joining us, we have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect that is in effect for a good part of Davidson County. Might I say most of the population of Davidson County. So really downtown, off to the south and southeast. We've had some storms that have fired off that really before, they've just had a lot of hail with them, some wind, but now we're getting up into that severe threshold of seeing quarter-size hail, getting a lot of reports of that. And to send in those reports, Will, what do you need for reports, man?
Yeah, awesome. So reports are super helpful. They allow us to not only see what's going on in the ground or at the ground where you live, but also help weather forecasters at the National Weather Service who issue these warnings get that information about what's happening at the ground. If you've got a report of hail the size of a quarter or 1 inch in diameter or greater, damage caused by thunderstorm winds, damage to a tree, damage to your home, damage to a structure, etc., use Twitter. Take a picture of it if it's safe to do that. Make sure you include your nearest cross streets or distance from a landmark and tweet it to us with the hashtag TSpotter. If we get those tweets, we can coordinate with the Weather Service, make sure they have the information they need to make those warning decisions. And speaking of TSpotter, just got a report in right now from friend of the program, Angela Lisi, meteorologist, and she is telling us up in looks like in Hermitage, winds estimated to be between 45 and 50 and some small branches down. So good to see some ground truth there. Keep sending these reports in. They're super helpful.
Yeah, so we see that on radar. She actually posted a shot of the radar with her report, and we see the exact same thing here. So it looks like, to me, guys, I think the strongest of the winds are not necessarily under the thunderstorms, but they're right out ahead of the thunderstorms, which is helping. It's what's helping to birth these things in the first place, out ahead of them, and that's what's launching them up. Essentially, it's acting as kind of a front. So the strongest winds here around B&A, Shelby Park, Donelson, East Nashville. That's exactly what Angela was saying there around Elm Hill and Briley. We're seeing some pixels. It's a little messy, but definitely winds in the 40s, maybe even low 50s there. In East Nashville, about to cross Briley Parkway up that way. So, yeah, that's she's exactly right. That's where some strong winds are there. B&A gusted to 46 just a second ago. And
how about those folks that maybe didn't take your advice of getting off of Priest Lake? Big band of reflectivity coming in there right now.
Yeah, they're not having a lot of fun, or they might be having a lot of fun, but they shouldn't be. Yeah, I've been on a lake and that stuff, man. It is.
Not
It goes from
fun.
fun to not fun there in about 5 seconds.
Very quick.
But it's Percy Priest Lake's definitely right in the. I wish the lake was blue here, but you can't see it. But anyway, it's there's Elm Hill Marina, and it's heading right over Percy Priest Lakes. It's going to be a mess there. In fact, let's just switch over here so we can see the lake. Yeah, there it is. So there's Percy Priest Lake, Nashburg Golf Club, and the storm's right on top of them. So that's going to be Anderson Road there that runs off toward the lake. So, Will, I would expect some hail reports coming out of Anderson Road, East Antioch on the east side of Murfreesboro Road. All those neighborhoods over there, I would expect some hail reports coming in here shortly.
Yeah, steadily getting hail reports from the Percy Priest area, from Antioch, Rural Hill, Donelson, Riverwalk, hail reports from really all over the county. Anywhere where we can co-locate these kind of purplish hues in the reflectivity or a darker red color in the reflectivity, we can associate that with hail reports in our replies.
All right, so here's a couple of areas here that are about to get it pretty bad. So Talbot's Corner right here north of that's going to be 31E. What's that? Ellington? That's Ellington Parkway. Right up there is, if you go aloft here, there is a huge core, like big old hail core up there at about 15,000 feet that's about to come down. So right there around Trinity and Gallatin, and over toward Ellington Parkway, and like right over there, this is going to be Gallatin Road here. Right there, but there's about to be a hailer come through there. So Trinity, Ellington Parkway, Gallatin Road, Inglewood, get ready for a hailer there. Also around Hermitage. All right, so if we go up in the sky there, pretty decent core up there around 13,000 feet, right there around Donelson and Peeler Park and Wave Country all the way over there toward Opryland. So that's going to be like Neely's Bend Road, Hermitage Golf Course. Don't want to be outside there. So could be getting some hailers up there pretty soon in that area. We're going to see the radar light up at the surface there here in just a minute. In fact, I would expect it with these next radar scans. There we go. So there's your reds and some purples there around Hermitage and Donelson. And I bet this one over here gets even brighter. So like this here is going to be... that's 31. That's going to be 31E, Hart Lane, Gallatin Pike, Trinity Lane. That's going to be the area here. That's going to McGavick Pike. So I'm definitely expecting some hail there here in the next little bit. So,
and Andrew, maybe this is a pretty good time to show what some of these hail reports look like. We're getting some really good ones in, so we can see more than anything. You can hear.
Yeah, I don't have those. Do you have those pulled up, Will?
I do. Yeah, let me share those. If you can cut to my screen share there.
Yeah, there we go.
So you can see the hail bouncing around, and just tons of these images from followers that are sharing wind gust and hail videos. You can see, look in the mulch, right? You can see hailstones bouncing around in here, and honestly, just dozens more videos just like this. Showing a very similar scene of hail bouncing around in people's yards, trash cans blowing down the street. So if you're in the path of one of these, right, let's make sure that you've secured anything that might blow down the road.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And we expect these to continue really for a while. We're not seeing this subside. We're really seeing it just kind of pick up and move to other parts of town. So the Weather Service says they're still seeing potentially severe winds from 45 to 60 across Davidson County, along with several hail cores. So several hail cores out there is really exactly what we've seen. East Nashville, Donelson, Percy Priest. And so that's kind of what we're seeing. So the 3 storms right now that we're watching, this is ever changing, guys. These storms, they go up and come down, and they move to different parts of town. So we're watching different parts of town at any given moment. So up here around Inglewood, over here around Donelson, and then down here around Antioch. So those are the 3 storms that we're watching right now. That could change here in about a minute because there's new storms that pop off. However, this is getting over toward the eastern part of our area. So as the new radar scan comes around, we're going to see storms slowly move off to the east. And, oh, yeah, here's the purple. Look at this, guys. So new radar scan around Inglewood. There's your hail core right there. There's for sure, I would say, hail falling around Gallatin Road and Trinity Lane. So if you're around Trinity Lane and Gallatin Road, you're right underneath that hail core that we were talking about here about 3 or 4 minutes ago. And it looks like it's coming down now. So the good news is that once it comes down, it's kind of like, what happened to these storms down here in the south part of town. They've just sort of fizzled. And so let's let them do their thing. Send us reports of what kind of hail you get. Make sure you're in a safe spot. And then it should be gone. It shouldn't last all afternoon. And then same thing down here around Percy Priest Lake. Just be off the water for a while. This is right here's the Hobson Pike Bridge that goes across Percy Priest. So you got like Long Hunter State Park there and Couchville Lake, which I hope to be fishing on Monday. We'll see. And then up toward the dam, you don't really see as much of the storm, but you still don't want to be out on the water. So even if they're not in the storm up toward Percy Priest Dam, you're still too close for all this lightning that's bouncing around. So those are the 3 storms we're watching here, and they're pretty strong. I mean, they're borderline severe. We're not talking 70, 80 mile per hour winds here and baseball size hail or anything, but we are talking 1-inch hail, 60 mile per hour winds, and it's severe. So Ryan here says there's small hail, but a ton of it. And that's definitely what we may see. It might not be big, but it may be a lot of it out there. And hailing like crazy on Ellington. That's right here where we were just talking about. Mm-hmm. So here's Gallatin Road here. Let's just kind of lay this out. So you got Gallatin Road there. You got Trinity Road here. You got McGavick there. And so those are, and then, McGavick goes that way, and then Pinehurst Drive. So this is over in the Inglewood area. That's exactly where the hail core is moving to. All right, so as you move east, you got Porter Road there, and then you got the Cumberland River, and then you got the Opryland Hotel. So that's exactly where all this is. Opryland Hotel, I would imagine, is going to get some hail here, and that's, of course, Opry Mills Drive there. So messy afternoon. This storm that is, let me turn that off. Yeah.
You're really seeing a decrease in intensity back to the southwest. So
absolutely.
Storms in Belmead, Green Hills, Westmead, Bells Bend, that line that stretches from about Scottsboro down to near Brentwood. The intensity really has died down here. So we can see a pretty big differential between storms that are riding that boundary and were energized by the gust front versus storms that have almost punched themselves out of severe criteria.
Yeah, exactly. So we just don't think these are going to last too long. Boy, guys, this is a hail core here. And
yep, and so we're seeing that right now. Andrew Jackson Parkway near Hermitage. Donelson, seeing a number of hail reports come in from DCA. Got ground truth of hail happening there. And it looks like still holding true to what you mentioned earlier, Andrew, anywhere where we're seeing these purple, 60 plus DBZ reflectivity returns are dropping hail.
Yeah, it's going to be these purple areas here. That's where we're seeing the hail reports come in, is those purple areas. And it's not that it doesn't last long. It's not going to be there. We're not going to be dealing with hail all afternoon, but it certainly is strong for the moment. I'd say, guys, this is now the strongest storm of the current period here, right around Summit Hospital and Hermitage. It's right there near. They're southwest between Donelson and Hermitage, right on Lebanon Road, and so that's.
I wouldn't be surprised to see a trim on that polygon.
I think they're going to extend it, actually.
Yeah, it's going further up into Hermitage or Hendersonville, Lakewood, Rivergate.
Yeah, so we expect a new warning here in just a minute. Yeah. So this polygon will probably be completely redrawn to include areas like Madison up toward Hendersonville, out there in western Wilson County. So we're gonna wait on that. We'll see that here in just a minute. Seems like they have every reason to keep this warning going, and as these storms ride to the northeast. Because we're still, all these reports are great. This is exactly why. In fact, there's your new warning. This is exactly why T-Spotter's around, just so we can get these reports and they can be making warning decisions up at the Weather Service. So here's your new severe thunderstorm warning. It's a really big polygon here. So it really stretches from Hendersonville all the way down into Rutherford County, almost to Cannon County. So they're just sort of warning all of these pop-up storms here because it's so hard. It's so hard to warn an individual cell in this kind of environment because it goes up, it comes down, but then another one fires up. It's like whack-a-mole. Another one fires up 10 miles away, and then you have to warn it. So we get polygons like this where it covers a lot of people, and you may or may not get a storm. But the ones that do could get some pretty large hail and damaging winds. So new severe thunderstorm warning here. This is going to be for northeastern Davidson County, basically downtown off to the east and the northeast, and it's going to be in effect until 2:45. And this is for 1-inch hail and 60-mile-per-hour winds. So of the two, we're seeing a lot more reports of hail than wind. Is that right, Will?
Yeah, absolutely. And I've got a number of different hail videos that have come in through our reports to share. Again, not seeing big hail, but a whole lot of small hail. I haven't received any wind damage reports, but this is pretty indicative of what we're seeing, right? Pea size, anywhere from pea size to perhaps dime size hail. And we're seeing lots of it, and we're seeing it fall with some pretty good intensity, right? So these reports are great. They let us know what's going on at the ground. They let the Weather Service know what's going on at the ground, and all of that is super important.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. So Will's over there taking reports. If you send those in using hashtag T-Spotter on Twitter, let us know where you are and send a picture. That's most helpful if you can send a picture to sort of verify what you're seeing out there. And he gets those over to the Weather Service, and they see those as well. They follow those reports as they come in, and so that's part of the warning decision. Will is them seeing those reports and then deciding whether or not to extend or issue a warning is based on what we're seeing at the ground level out there. And that's where the spotters...
And I think that we're seeing reports from Southwest Davidson County, right? We got 1 million billion small hail reports from Riverwalk and that area in Southwest Davidson County. And now that those reports have kind of backed off, you can see the intensity in those storms get backed off. I wouldn't be surprised to see the Weather Service not reissue that warning. I think that's them issuing that new warning is setting themselves up to cancel that warning that covers the southern part of the county, which lines up exactly with what we're seeing in reports.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's interesting, guys. Look back here around Inglewood. We had this hailer here just a little bit ago, and now it's nearly gone. So just up and down. They're up and then they're gone. And so maybe this one around Hermitage will do the same thing. It'll drop the core out of it, and then we'll be finished with it. So that's what we hope will happen. Just we gotta deal with it for about another 10, 15 minutes, and hopefully it'll fall apart. But those storms around Priest Lake have definitely blown up over in Wilson County. And then there's another one out here east of Hendersonville. So that's exactly what's happening today. We got them here in town, and then another one they just leapfrog on each other, and about 10 miles out ahead of it, another one's born. So let's go back down to the southwest just a second. We got those warnings up in Davidson County. Williamson County is now completely excluded from a warning. So no warnings in effect at all anymore for Williamson County. And in fact, Andrew here says that the sun is back out in Bellevue. So that's just the kind of, here we are in spring. This is the way these storms go. And they don't last very long, and then the sun's back out. So Franklin, Fairview, Greenbrier, Spring Hill, you got maybe some rain in the area, but pretty much the severe weather is out of there. And then back to the west, we got some more storms back to the west of us, but this is going to eat up some energy, we think, and so that's a good thing. Looks like they're canceling the severe thunderstorm warning that was originally.
There we go.
Originally put in place there around Davidson County, and so the original polygon will disappear, but not the one that they most recently issued. So it looks like the only warning that will be in effect will be for northeastern Davidson County down toward Percy Priest Lake. And so we'll probably see this other polygon drop off here in just a second. So downtown Nashville will essentially be excluded at that point, but it will still include Inglewood and Hermitage, Donelson, all the way up toward Madison and toward Goodlettsville, not quite. But we're quickly approaching the time where these storms move out, and we'd be okay with that. We'd be all right with that. Let's see what the Weather Service is saying. Nothing new really for us. They do have a tree down on a power line causing a power outage in Antioch. So the winds weren't negligible. They were pretty strong winds, but we definitely have got more hail reports than wind reports. But that one though from Antioch was one of the few wind reports we've gotten where they've got a power outage there in Antioch from a large tree branch there on a power line. So the severe thunderstorm warning that's still in effect is going to be that's still in effect until 2:45, guys. I doubt that it'll be in effect till 2:45. I doubt it'll be effective till 2:45 for Davidson County. I think they'll probably trim that up as these storms exit over the next maybe 15 minutes, or as they decrease in intensity. So strongest storm right now, the Hermitage one is still pretty strong. The one over Inglewood has sort of perked back up again. And so let's go zoom down in on that. And it looks like the strongest part of the storm there is around McGavick Pike. It's going to be around Cooper Lane, some of these residential streets here in Inglewood, Marsden Avenue. Of course, this is going to be Opry Mills over here. So you got the Cumberland River that runs up and down through here near the Opryland Hotel. Opry Mills Mall is there. So could very well have some hail there around Opry Mills. Moss Rose Drive, that's where this hail core is. And down here toward Porter Road, not so much. Y'all had some hail a little bit ago. It's mostly north of you. What's this road here that runs near the community center? Scott Avenue. And so there's your new scan. Hail core might have come down just a little bit, but it's right on top of Opry Mills now. So it's quickly moving east, and it'd be great if it just sort of fell apart like the other ones. Let's take a look at Hermitage. There's Tulip Grove, Lebanon Road, Highway 70 here that runs up and down through Donelson, Hermitage, and into Wilson County. Down here to the south is where the strongest part of the storm is. That's going to be Chandler Road, Old Lebanon Dirt Road, and then I think, is that Andrew Jackson there that runs? Yeah, Andrew Jackson Parkway. And then all the neighborhoods there, right there between Chandler Road, Andrew Jackson, and Tulip Grove. So that's quickly going into Wilson County. About half the storm is over there into Wilson County. Stretches all the way down to I-40. But the hail, I would bet, is closer up here to Lebanon Road in the neighborhoods near like the driving range there at Andrew Jackson Parkway and the neighborhoods there close by.
Yeah, hail reports have really slacked off. Most people talking about hail right now are talking about it in the context of what happened at, about 1:45 to 2 o'clock. Over the last 15 minutes, probably, a lot of those hail reports have dwindled away.
Yeah. And that's, the hailers are going to be kind of moving out of our population centers. And so that will be, in fact, there's, somebody says here they're still getting pea-sized hail in western Wilson County. So the storm's still a hailer out there.
Yep.
And I would fully expect that we're still getting hail. If it's hailing in western Wilson, it's probably still hailing over there in eastern Davidson too, and those neighborhoods there between Chandler Road and Tulip Grove and Andrew Jackson.
It's getting a little tough to tell entering into the cone there.
Yeah, so we've got this area here. We call this the Cone of Silence, and this is right near the Weather Service radar, where their radar's located right off Old Hickory Lake, and the radar cannot read anything right up close to it. And so we call that the Cone of Silence. And so if storms go in there and we need to know what's going on, we have to switch to a different radar miles and miles and miles away to be able to see it. But we have a pretty good idea here. I mean, we know there's really not, this isn't a big rotation day. This is mostly a hail day. And we've got a lot of cold air up there today, and that's kind of what we're seeing. Looks like most of the hail's probably going to be over there in western Wilson now, probably slacking off there around Chandler Road. Inglewood storm continues to fall apart. Seeing a lot more yellows and oranges than the purples that we were seeing a little bit ago, so that's good as it crosses over Opry Mills, crosses over into Neely's Bend and Peeler Park. New storm, though, up near Fontenelle. Surprise, surprise, a new storm is born.
I saw that storm pop up just as I had switched to the Hopkinsville radar since we were getting into the cone, and saw that you can see a pretty clearly defined boundary there, Andrew, right? So now from a line from, say, Springfield to Laverne-ish, or not really, maybe to Gladeville, right? You can see a pretty good boundary of what's intense and then kind of what's behind it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I see that as well. David, I'm sure we're getting some questions. Okay, we got plans this afternoon. We've got things going on. It's Friday. So let's talk about this afternoon some and sort of what to expect after these warnings expire and things go away. What are we looking at?
Hang on, I'm sending a tweet.
Oh, okay.
That was a really good production value right there.
You get to see the sausage made a little bit. David, I would really, as this severe thunderstorm warning is kind of dying out for Davidson County, and our attention turns to this afternoon, not only what's in store for us weather-wise, but maybe what's in store for us Predator fans. A little hockey analysis as well.
Okay, we'll do the important thing first. The Preds are in some trouble. The Avs are, I mean, we knew they were fast. We knew the McKinnon line was fast. But they have speed up and down that lineup. No mortal can contain Cale Makar except for, thank God, Roman Josi. But I think that we're just going to need some epic goaltending performances like we got last night in order to stay competitive. And I also think somebody needs to hit the Avs in the mouth and let them know that they don't get to skate around that fast without getting slammed in somewhere. And, of course, I don't pretend to know anything about hockey more than what the coaching staff and those guys know. But this ain't over. Let's get them in our building. But just watching them, they're just incredibly fast. And I mean, when you're giving up shots 2-1 against in their place, it's tough. So this series will start with the next game. Now about the weather. I think, right, like if you zoom out, Andrew, you'll see that line that's extending from Erin down to Waverly. That line is going to probably move here and get here before 5 o'clock. I don't expect thunderstorms. I certainly don't expect severe weather with it. I'm expecting some rain. And I think once that little area of energy gets through, then coming out of Kentucky later tonight will be colder and drier air. There's a little disturbance. I spent a good bit of time while I was eating lunch earlier looking at the upper level charts. And what's happening is that air aloft in a disturbance that's up to our north is super cold. And so when that rain is going to rotate through, if you do happen to get a shower, if you're at the Willie Nelson concert tonight or you're outside or whatever it is you're doing, I don't think it's going to rain you out. If you're not already rained out by 5 o'clock, I don't think you're going to get rained out. I know there's a big soccer tournament in Franklin, the TNI tournament. I think if the fields are fine by 5, they'll be fine in the morning, because I'm not expecting any more rain to come through other than just a little misty kind of a thing. But if you're caught out in it, it's going to be really cold because those temps aloft are super cold. And it's one of the reasons why we're getting so much hail today is the temps that are rotating around the south side of this cold air mass aloft axis is doing a very efficient job of freezing those raindrops and creating that hail. And so we're just going to get some cold, light rain tonight. So all y'all who have plans tonight, I think you're 2 thumbs up to go, unless you're already rained out from losing the storm lottery this afternoon. The rest of the weekend looks great. And by the way, next week looks like it's like I'm going to have to tweet the GIF where he's like, and the flames are going up behind him.
Yeah.
We should approach record daily high temperatures in the afternoon on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Those temperatures are right around 90. Those records are, one of them is from 36, the other one's from 2015, the other one's from 2016. So yeah, a lot of storm today, and then just a lot of heat next week. And it looks like that severe thunderstorm warning's finally been canceled there, Andrew, for us.
Yeah, it looks like they trimmed it up, and it looks like Davidson County is now excluded from that warning. So the warning now goes from Sumner County, Wilson County, and that's really about it. So we're warningless, and the only storm we have really that's still going is a little area around Chesapeake, Skyline Hospital, Good Pasture area. And but that's it's just a rainer at this point. Really hasn't shown much interest.
I don't think it will, Andrew.
Yeah,
that area's been worked
boundary.
over pretty good. Yeah, and looking aloft, it doesn't look nearly as healthy as the other ones did. So I think we're in pretty good shape. Really surprised if that hails.
Well, cool.
Right.
Well,
this has been fun.
Yeah, this is good. And continue. If you have any other reports, see any trees down, anything like that, let us know. Hashtag T-Spotter. Otherwise, we'll see you guys later. And have a good Friday night.
See y'all later.
See ya.